God is moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Good day, good afternoon, good morning, whenever the time is that you're tuning in to Young People Nation. And we're in our fourth session with Mr. Chris Cockrum. He's a licensed professional counselor with over 40 years of experience, and he is a clinical director with Life Management Group in Augusta, Georgia. And he is working on that doctorate in education and supervision. We welcome you back, Mr. Cockrum. And on this session, we're wanting to talk about recovery from addictions. Mr. Cockrum, can pets, animals be a source of recovery for some addicts?
I believe the answer would clearly be yes. There are service dogs.
Yes.
Who are specifically trained to work with, say, folks struggling with PTSD and anxiety and lots of those kinds of things, and they're certified. Like my neighbor has two big poodles that are certified.
Oh wow.
But at the same time, it could be your regular pet. You know, some people see their pet as a family member, and they don't go anywhere without their pet, just like most people won't leave the house without their children. So pets can be a great source. I remember back in 2003, Cairo, a boxer, my boxer, I found out my mom had passed. And I was clearly, I guess, devastated and in shock. And Cairo, like, literally sat his head on my leg, kind of one of these numbers on my leg.
Right.
And just stared at me for about a couple of hours. And all I was getting from his stare was, it's going to be okay.
My.
I didn't have a clue because your mom just died. Like, the rug had been pulled out. So I think pets of all kinds can be helpful. Some people don't prefer snakes. However, whatever pet can help a person soothe whatever's going on, that's a healthy kind of activity.
Right.
Okay, they're not putting some kind of drug or alcohol or something harmful in place of how they're feeling. Okay.
Okay.
You know, I talk to Zeke all the time. He answers. Okay.
Almost like our daughter's dog, Journey.
Journey
that's
won't.
our grand dog.
Journey will not, because you open that door, Journey gone.
Yeah, no, Zeke's pretty cool. He'll talk back.
Okay. Well, Journey, she knows when she comes to our house versus when she goes back to our daughter's house, her owner. And when she comes to our house, she's like, we try to give her some dry dog food. She be like, wait a minute, you know you go to Kroger's and get me that $14 food? You don't need that? Y'all started this.
Yeah, she even knocked the telephone out of your hand to get your attention.
Yeah.
But
She's a very loving dog. She's very sensitive.
She pay taxes?
I think so.
Oh, I should be on there.
She ain't got no job.
I don't know. I think Journey do have a credit card.
Okay.
Okay. Are there other methods in the medical field to overcome addictions?
Yes, science is a wonderful thing. They are consistently coming up with different types of medications that address the issues related to addiction. and I'm not going to really go into naming all those for time's sake, but there are medications that will help, as well as just like medications to help with depression or anxiety. Pain medications are really scrutinized closely, and some alternatives are considered, especially non-addictive type of medication along the lines of like pain management. People can learn how to manage pain without medications. Amazingly, the body secretes a chemical that's more powerful than morphine, but we just don't access it.
Okay.
But I was always amazed that you see these martial arts people or people who are seriously injured, they continue to engage. And you say, wait, and I'm saying, hey, man, I'd be done sat down by now.
Right.
But they're still doing whatever it is, and they've accessed that. But there are medications that can be extremely helpful. Antabuse, methadone are some of the common ones, Suboxone. Those are medications people use. Not all medications are good for all people. I'm an advocate of folks finding a healthy, medication-free lifestyle if that's at all possible.
Yes.
Because you take you with you everywhere you go. What do you do when you have a moment and you don't have your meds?
Right.
Then what happens? So I believe in teaching folks those kinds of coping skills and emotional management skills and all those things.
I want to say this. Please do not go out there and take your Bible and be hitting people upside the head trying to get rid of addiction or drenching their head full of oil, because all it'll do is get that person good hair. It won't help with the addiction at the beginning. I know a lot of people have done that in the past. Physically take the Bible and dump them side the head with it. It is an act of frustration.
Okay.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, sir.
That's a really important point. The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, first, the first real recovery manual. Came into play in 1939, and one of the things they really discussed is the use of God versus higher power.
Right.
Okay, and people suffering in addiction. And remember, 1939, folks are living in alleys, Skid Row, drinking Sterno. These are the worst of the worst.
Right.
Yes.
Have a hard time comprehending that God loves me, cares about me, and all that. And here I sit. I haven't gotten to the part of what part I play. It's your fault. It's God's fault.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a turnoff.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. As well as when people are talking about recovery, the conversation hopefully is on recovery and not what your faith is and getting into a theological debate, because that really doesn't help you stay clean on a daily basis. So the notion of a higher power is trying to help people understand that you have done everything you can do to try and fix your condition. So now it's going to take something greater than you, something outside of you to help you get better.
Right.
Okay? So that can be, people start out, it could be the knob, a doorknob. Could be someone in the fellowship. It could be a meeting. It could be a family member or whatever. But the idea is to help the person get out of their I can fix it head and surrender and recognize that their life had become unmanageable in those areas we talked about earlier.
Right.
That's the unmanageability.
Yes.
That's the proof positive. Your lights are cut off. You don't have food, on and on and on. But you talking about I'm good. Good where? Okay. So that step one is like two parts. Surrender that I am powerless over.
Right.
Okay. And my life had become unmanageable. So if I can begin to just deal with that as a starting place.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can move on with the rest of the steps. Came to believe that God of my understanding
Right.
can
Yes.
restore me to sanity because I've been living an insane life.
Right.
Yes.
Then the
That's
third
good.
one is I became willing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
See, all this whole discussion is addiction, but if the person does not finally become willing, we're just having a wonderful conversation.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
That's good right there. And you were speaking in our last session about how it's not for family, friends, parents necessarily to police a person, but you have to get help for the process of this loved one. You have to go get help to understand maybe your part,
When you say you being the person that's dealing with addiction or the family member,
the family member.
no, the family member doesn't have to go get help for that person.
No, not for the person, but for themselves.
Oh yes, yes. So there's two parts. There's this thing, and I'll say it kind of quick. An intervention, which is concerned people in the family get together, and there's a process to it. It's not just
Right.
throw it together,
Right.
and they get with the person who's addicted.
Okay.
Okay, the two choices. The family shares with them how it is, and they say they know what's going on. Now, if he wants to continue to live that addictive lifestyle, then he'll have to move out.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, if you want help, the van is outside to take you to treatment.
So tough love.
Tough love. Okay, so that's the hard part, is saying no to that family member who's out there trying to kill himself. They don't see it that way. They're just having a good time. Okay, being able to say no and set boundaries. Okay, and that's what helps somebody begin to consider getting help. Because I believe inside there's a part of them that's saying, you know, my mom used to do anything for me. Now she won't even let me in the house. Or when I do come in the house, all the ladies, they holding a purse under their arm now.
Right.
Okay, or somebody's following me around when I come in the house, and all those kinds of things that are indicative of serious trust issues and on and on. But it's on the ownership is up to that person to get help, because you just ask them, okay, well, seems like everything's good, so you've tried to kick this thing how many times?
Right.
Has it worked?
Right. I know an incident where the family, when they would leave the house, they would lock everything up. Lock everything up, lock the house up with the person on the outside. They couldn't come in the house because of their reputation with that. They couldn't be trusted around nothing. Couldn't take them anywhere or anything. They'll come out. They go to the department store. They'll walk out with all kinds of stuff. They ain't got no money.
Well, microwave will get you $25.
Wow, that's good to know.
You got a nice
What's good
TV.
to know about that? You don't need to know that, dude.
What's that?
He said that's good to know that a microwave will get you $25. No, bro.
Well, the big screen might shoot.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why they got them guards at Walmart now, because they used to walk out with stuff.
They still do it. But anyway.
Oh yeah. But do you know of any local services that can help? Because sometimes insurance coverages or funds just are not available to your average street person.
There are indigent programs. I know, I don't have it with me, but there's a person who all she does is keep track of treatment programs. Some of them are in Atlanta that are designed just for indigent clients who don't have anything. Again, some programs provide scholarships.
Nice to know.
For some people. A lot of programs work with people too. They can be spendy, but a lot of times they'll work with you. And hopefully folks will take advantage of that generosity, because basically they're saving your life.
Well, you know, our country, if they were real serious on get a foothold of this drugs thing, they should have a treatment center in every town. This country is rich enough to have a free treatment center in every town in the United States of America. That's how rich America is.
Well, it eats into the profit line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same as they put money aside for hurricane funds. They can put money aside for that too.
Okay, so watching the news, I don't know how true this stuff is or not, but those set-asides, okay, there's always a big issue about who's really spending that money, who's getting that money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Greed is always there.
Yeah, so we have a local person here in Augusta who's dealing with them folks now about misappropriating money or doing whatever they did with it. Hopefully it works out for them.
And so if a person, okay, just like, where can I go? Like if you're in Augusta, Georgia, South Carolina, so on and so forth. I want to say the local Salvation Army Center is one place they could perhaps check into.
That's one place they can go.
Yes.
They can go to the emergency room if it's that bad, and the emergency room will usually hook people up with a social worker.
Okay.
And the social worker will probably interview the person in the ER and decide what they're going to do and maybe put the person on the board, so to speak. And the board is a listing of all the facilities around the state that has a bed.
That's good to know.
You know, so the bed may be available in Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some say, well, I didn't want to go to Savannah. Okay, well, maybe you want to stay out there because the weatherman said it's going to rain in a little while.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You don't have a lot of choices when you don't have no choice. That one.
How bad do you want it? Because seeing what I shared with him, I said, well, I understand what you just said, but see, the truth is, if you wanted some dope and you knew the only place you could get it was in Savannah, guess who's out there hitchhiking?
Yep.
You're going to Savannah.
Yes.
To get some stuff to kill you. So now maybe, what about going to get some help for yourself? That's that twisted, distorted thinking, as you say. Lots of denial. That, you know, they say it's not the Nile River, it's denial.
Right.
And we hope our audience is truly listening, family, friends, loved ones, of this wealth of information that's being given in reference to addictions. So just please take advantage of these resources and this wisdom that has been given to you.
Sir, what will be the primary step you recommend for anyone dealing with addictions?
I would say go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting or go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. They're free. They're all over town. There's one right up the street on Ellis Street. I mean, they're everywhere. They're a lot of times they're in churches, but they can just look online for NA meetings and the CSRA, and they have the listing of in Columbia County, Burke County, Richmond County, or AA meetings, and go to a meeting. I would think that would be, especially if they're indigent, they can go to a meeting and basically say, I need some help.
Right.
And they'll be amazed at how much help will show up.
Wow, there's always hope.
Yes, and if they don't know where a location is, they can always go to the emergency room, correct?
Well, yeah, the emergency room may or may not have the meeting schedule, but you can Google NA meetings and you'll get the whole listing. And then you can Google AA meetings in the CSRA. and then you can post them on your webpage. And then there's Alateen if you're a teen, Al-Anon if you are the spouse of someone who's addicted. These are all free.
Okay.
You know, but the idea is to begin to get them exposed to.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and then they begin to hear people share how they were once in that situation, but they did this or they did that. And they found out that when they did that, they got their head busted. So they don't do that. They take the suggestion, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, you may feel like you want to use, but the suggestion is, well, call somebody before. Don't go use and then call me. What am I going to do then?
You got to take those baby steps. Got to take those baby steps to be able to reach the goal.
Maybe the first step is just show up.
That's a big step.
Just show up.
Just show up.
Yes.
Just show up because when folks share in that meeting, if you're dealing with the issue of addiction or alcoholism, okay, you more than likely hear something that relates to you.
My goodness, this has really been good. This is something that's very common in our society. It can go very mass. So let's be intentional and let's pay attention. Okay, and let's get involved in an area that perhaps you're graced to get involved, because this is what Young People Nation is about, is bringing awareness and transparency and healing to the things in life that comes in all of our lives, just life. I just want to give out again the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline of 800-273-TALK. That's 800-273-8255. Also, we have there is a crisis text line. Text HOME to 741-741. Again, that's text HOME to 741-741. Now, we have finished this series on addiction. Thank you, Mr. Cochran, so much for just sharing and being transparent in your own process of life and the things you have experienced. Is there any closing comments you have for our listeners?
Yeah, NA and AA are probably some of the best starting places. So if at all possible, y'all have a webpage?
We don't have a web page, but we are on social media, Facebook.
So if
YouTube,
y'all
Instagram.
wanted to print the NAAA Al-Anon Alateen schedule, and can you add that to Facebook?
I'm sure she can. Yes.
So just add that to Facebook, then folks could look at it at their leisure, because usually they don't start thinking about getting help until they spent all their money.
Right.
And everybody they thought was their friend and put them out.
Right.
Because you don't have any more money. Ain't nobody going to support your habit.
Yeah, you're right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Cochran. Again, there is always hope. This has been Young People Nation. We out of here, y'all.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect. He the top boss. I was broke, I was empty. He the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool. There was nothing like the Savior. Now it's time for the truth. The whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation. 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 The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what he gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going, keep going. Let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation. You know what time it is. Young People Nation. Get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation. It's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by his love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth onto what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.